You want to start trailing, that is, tracking animals and following their trail and finding the animal without it detecting you. But what is it precisely and how to do it? Is there any method to do it? A method that has been proven to work? Turns out that yes, there is, and let's find out together. The goal of this video is to give you the easy beginner how-to trading that I wished I had when I started, because it looks like obvious: follow the trail, find the animal, and somehow it can be as simple as that, but a bit of basic knowledge goes a long way into helping you achieve such goal. On my first cybertracker trading evaluation, something that really unlocked me was to come back to the goal: find the animal. Whatever you do, the goal is to find the animal, to find it and to see it without disturbing it, without spooking it, without it being ever aware that you were there. And to do so, you're facing a problem, a conflicting injunction. The problem is the following: you must look up far in the distance to detect the animal before it detects you. And at the same time, you must look down at the ground to confirm that the tracks you're following are the good ones. At the same time, nobody can look up far away and down to the ground at the same time. To solve this, there's a training process advised by many trackers in cybertracker. The process is in 2 steps. First step is when there's no track, or when you start, you stop and you try to see the tracks in the farthest distance. And you start from horizon. And then you can start walking again, or you can start walking, and you try to go directly to the farthest track. Then, when you walk, you try to keep your head up, looking on the horizon, and only using your peripheral vision to check that you are on the trail. And then you repeat. No track, then you stop, etc., etc. So basically, you're walking when you see the trail with your peripheral vision. When you don't, you stop and you try to find it back. That's simple, right? Well, it's very hard to do right, actually. So here I see the start of a trail. You see tracks in leaf litter, and you can start to see that there's a line. So I see that line of tracks. I see the one in the farthest distance. I look around and keep my eye on the horizon. And then I can start walking and following it. And I try to keep my head up and to keep my eyes more on the horizon. And I can glance very quickly to my feet in order to see, but when I have to really look into my feet to look for tracks, then I try to stop. I stop walking. And then I see again the track in the distance. So I start walking, but again with my head up. And you see here, what I'm doing is that I'm constantly walking, and when I can't walk because I don't see the track, I stop. When stopped, I find my trail back, and then I scan the horizon for animals, and I'm going to be able to restart walking after that. I always check sideways to see if there are other trail starts, but here I'm pretty comfortable. So I'm going to restart walking and keep my eyes on the horizon. And I can see some of the feet of the animal that are deep in the leaf litter. So it's okay. If I have any doubt, I stop. And I restart. I can check when I stop. I can see my last clear track, which is this one now. And depending on the animal, it can be super obvious or it can be super difficult. Here, this one is not so obvious because it's a roe deer, so it's a light animal. And I can see in the leaf litter more of the disturbances than actually the feet or the tracks of the animal. Again, if I want, I check. And then I scan, I look far away in the distance, and I start walking. And basically the the more experienced you are, the less you'll have to stop, and the more you'll be able to follow with a certain trust and confidence in your capabilities. So this momentum allows you to actually walk fast enough to catch up with the animal. If I'm not sure, I always can stop and try to look for alternatives to my path. And here I can see other animals' activity. And then I can go and inspect some of these activities. And then come back to my last clear trail and start again. So here I'm going to inspect this scrape. Okay. And I can choose to start from this last good trail or sign, or I can choose to go back to my previous last good trail or last clean track. So why do we say try to see the tracks in the farthest distance and to start from the horizon? Well, first, to be able to see the tracks in the farthest distance will enable you to have a good speed, to maintain good momentum. That is, a speed that enables you to catch up with the animal or to move faster than the animal is moving. And this is the whole goal of this. It's to catch up with the animal. And to be able to see it, you need also to start from the horizon, because if you don't detect the animal before it detects you, then you're going to spook it and make it flee. And that's not the goal, and it's actually bad for the animals. The second principle is to resist looking at your feet. So why is this important? Well, if you look at your feet, you're going to be really tempted to focus on each track, on the track that is just right at your feet. Oh, it's nice, can I recognize it? And you're going to stop. And you're going to actually stop much more often than if you try to have basically just confirmation. And the problem of stopping is that you're going to stop very frequently, and therefore you're going to be slower. And actually you don't need to look down often, except when, one, you lose the trail, and then you have to stop really. And sometimes also having a mix-up with another trail, or the trail is changing direction. But very often just glancing when changing direction is going to enable you to stay on the track even without stopping. Then why, when you walk, you need to keep your head up looking on the horizon? Well, because this way you're most likely to actually detect the animal early. And even if you don't look at the animal directly, your peripheral vision is going to help you catch the shape of part of the animal, typically, or movement of vegetation, or actually basically help you detect the movement of the animal itself. So what is it, this peripheral vision I'm talking about all the time? Well, if you try to actually practice just right now, you look at some element in the distance, and you start to focus just on this element, but you start with without moving your eyes, to see if you can perceive other things, especially movement, around your area of focus. And you'll see that you can actually develop that. This is something that you can build. The more you practice your peripheral vision, the more you'll be able to enlarge this field of vision. And by enlarging it, and then keeping your head up and keeping your vision on the horizon, you'll be even able to follow some tracks without looking at them directly, with keeping your head very upright and looking at potential places where an animal could be located. Now, you need all your senses to not be detected by the animal. Well, nearly all your senses. And this needs practice. So trying to walk without noise, without visual movement, without color or shape signature will be super useful. So there will be other video on how to be stealth, and exercises about this, such as a fox walk, detecting the wind, the problem with skylining and avoiding it, hiding. But without practice, you won't be stealth. So you really need to engage with being stealth. And this is something that you can do even without being in the woods. You might say that sometimes you actually can't see any tracks. And we are going to see in the next videos how to systematically solve the problem when you lose a trail. And typically it's the hub and spoke method. So the benefit of this process, of this method, is that it's quite compact and easy to remember. It gets you started with the fundamental good habits. Habits are hard to change. That's why it's important to start with the good ones. The drawback of this method is that it's simplistic. There will be many more things you'll do actually on the trail, but that's okay. With this base, you can start having fun and learn gradually all the other practices and habits that makes an experienced tracker. This won't come into one session only, and all the other advices in the other video are very valid. Now, try to do it gradually and try to instill in yourself this way of behaving on the trail, which are in the long term going to help you a lot, even though it can be quite challenging in the beginning.